Have you ever met someone in their 70s or 80s who seems to have defied time? They move with ease, their minds are sharp, and they radiate an energy that makes you wonder, what's their secret? What if I told you that if you're between 60 and 80 and can still do this, you might be among a rare group of people who have unlocked the key to reaching 100. And the best part? It's not just a guess, it's backed by science, longevity research, and real-world studies. Before we dive in, a huge thank you to our longtime subscribers. Your support fuels this channel, and we appreciate every like, comment, and share. And if you're new here, welcome. If you're interested in aging well, living longer, and staying healthy, hit that like button and subscribe. Now, let's get into it. Aging isn't just about how many candles are on your birthday cake. It's about how well you function as you get older. While genes play a role, research from the Harvard Study of Adult Development, which has followed participants for over 85 years, reveals that lifestyle and certain abilities are the real predictors of longevity. Today, we're revealing 5 little-known indicators that suggest you're on track for a long, healthy life. If you can still do these things in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, you're part of a rare and lucky group. Number 5. You can maintain a steady heart rate recovery after activity. Have you ever noticed how quickly or slowly your heart calms down after exercise? That moment after climbing a flight of stairs, after a brisk walk, or even after a quick burst of activity. How long does it take for your breathing to steady and your heart to settle back into its normal rhythm? It turns out that the speed at which your heart rate recovers is one of the most powerful indicators of how long you're likely to live. In fact, a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that people whose heart rates took longer than 1 minute to recover after exercise had a significantly higher risk of dying within 6 years compared to those with faster recovery times. To put it simply, a heart that bounces back quickly is a sign of longevity. But why is that? Think of your heart like the engine of a well-tuned car. A high-performance engine can accelerate smoothly and, just as importantly, return to idle effortlessly. But an engine that struggles to slow down after revving? That's a sign of inefficiency, strain, and underlying wear. Your heart operates in the same way. When you exert yourself, whether it's walking up a hill, carrying groceries, or playing with grandkids, your heart naturally speeds up to deliver oxygen-rich blood to your muscles. But once the activity stops, your body should swiftly regulate itself, bringing your heart rate back down within a healthy range. If this process is sluggish, it can be a red flag for cardiovascular issues like poor circulation, high blood pressure, or an overworked heart. Let's take Joseph Langston, a retired farmer from Nebraska. At 75, Joseph still enjoyed his morning walks, and every now and then he challenged himself with a light jog. One day, his doctor tested his heart rate after he climbed a flight of stairs. Within a minute, it had returned to normal. The doctor smiled and told him, "Joe, you've got the heart of a man 20 years younger." Today, at 98, Joseph is still independent, still active, and still walking those same trails. So, what about you? Want to test your heart's resilience? Try this. Take a brisk walk for 2 minutes, then sit down and check your pulse. Count how many beats per minute your heart is at right after the activity. Wait exactly 1 minute, then check it again. If your heart rate has dropped by at least 20 beats per minute, that's a great sign. But what if it takes longer? Don't worry, your heart is a muscle, and like any muscle, it can be trained. Regular movement, deep breathing exercises, and even a few simple adjustments to your daily routine can help strengthen your heart's ability to recover. And speaking of resilience, what if I told you that the speed of your brain, not just your heart, can predict how long you'll live? Number 4, you can recall and process information quickly. Can you remember what you had for breakfast yesterday? What about the name of a new acquaintance you met last week? If you can, you might be in better shape than you think. Memory, recall, and processing speed are more than just signs of sharpness. They're predictors of how long you're likely to live. According to a 2021 study published in Neurology, cognitive function in your 60S and 70S is directly linked to longevity. Researchers found that people who maintain strong memory and quick thinking were far more likely to live well into their 90s and beyond. But it wasn't just about remembering details. Their ability to process new information, recognize patterns, and make decisions quickly played a major role in their long-term health. That's because cognitive decline is often one of the earliest signs of aging diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. When brain function starts to slow, it's rarely an isolated issue. It's usually connected to cardiovascular health, metabolic function, and even immune system strength. In other words, a slow brain often signals a slow, struggling body. The good news? The brain, like any other muscle, can be trained, and the people who keep their minds engaged, whether through learning, problem solving, or social interaction, are far more likely to live longer and stay independent. Take Marjorie Bennett, a 92-year-old former school teacher from Oregon. Marjorie never saw retirement as an excuse to slow down. She had spent decades helping students learn, so when she retired, she decided to keep learning herself. She started with crossword puzzles and Sudoku, but soon moved on to something even more challenging, learning Spanish. At 80 years old, she began practicing every morning, determined to master a new language. By the time she turned 85, researchers tested her cognitive function. To their surprise, she scored in the same range as adults in their 40s. Her memory was sharp, her processing speed was high, and her ability to learn new information had barely faded over time. She later joked, "I may have wrinkles, but my brain does." Marjorie isn't an exception, she's proof of what's possible. Studies show that learning something new, reading regularly, and staying socially engaged can significantly slow cognitive aging. The more you challenge your brain, the more resilient it becomes. But mental sharpness isn't just about puzzles and books. There's another simple daily action that predicts longevity even more powerfully, and it has to do with how you move. Number 3, you can get up from bed without using your hands. It sounds almost too simple to be important, but have you ever paid attention to how you get out of bed in the morning? Do you sit up effortlessly, swing your legs over the side, and stand up with ease? Or do you have to push off with your arms, grab onto something for support, or struggle to rise? This seemingly basic movement is one of the clearest indicators of mobility, strength, and coordination, and it has a direct connection to longevity. According to researchers at Boston University, people over 60 who struggled to get up from bed or a chair without using their hands were up to 4 times more likely to experience rapid aging, loss of independence, and even early mortality. Why is this movement so important? Because it relies on a combination of core strength, flexibility, balance, and joint stability. If your muscles and joints are working in sync, this action should feel natural and effortless. But if you find yourself needing to push with your hands, brace against a surface, or pause for a moment before standing, it could be a warning sign that your body is losing strength faster than it should. Let's look at Henry Lawson, an 81-year-old retired construction worker. Henry spent most of his life doing physical labor, but even after retiring, he stayed active. Every morning, before even brushing his teeth, he tested himself. His rule? Get out of bed without using his hands. No pushing off the mattress, no gripping the nightstand, just engaging his core, swinging his legs, and rising to his feet in one smooth motion. One day, during a routine checkup, his doctor asked him if he ever struggled with balance or getting up from sitting positions. Henry laughed and said, "Doc, I get out of bed the same way I did 50 years ago." The doctor nodded and replied, "If you can keep doing this at 80, you'll probably be doing it at 90. And guess what? At 97, Henry still gets up without assistance. His story isn't just about strength, it's about independence. The ability to get up easily means you're not just surviving, you're thriving. It means your body is still capable of handling everyday movement without struggle. But mobility isn't just about getting up. It's also about something even more fundamental. your ability to move through the world with confidence and stability. Because if you can still do this next thing, you're truly in rare company. Number 2, you can sleep through the night without waking up. Repeatedly. We all know sleep is important, but what's even more critical is uninterrupted, deep sleep. The kind that allows your body and brain to fully recharge. The difference between restful sleep and fragmented sleep isn't just about feeling well rested the next day. It can determine how well you age, how sharp your mind stays, and even how long you live. A study from the University of California, Berkeley found that adults in their 60s who wake up frequently during the night have a 33% higher risk of developing dementia and a 25% increased risk of premature death. And the reason for this is startling. It's because the brain has a cleaning crew that only works while you're in deep sleep. Every night when you drift into those deep sleep stages, your brain activates a process known as the glymphatic system, a network that flushes out toxins, metabolic waste, and plaques linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. But if you wake up repeatedly, this process gets interrupted, leaving harmful toxins in your brain that, over time, can contribute to memory loss and cognitive decline. Now, let's talk about Linda Hayes, an 88-year-old retired journalist. Linda spent most of her life chasing deadlines, writing articles into the early hours, and running on just a few hours of sleep. But when she turned 60, she made a conscious decision to prioritize her sleep as if it were a sacred ritual. She set a strict bedtime, trained herself to avoid screens before bed, and practiced deep breathing exercises to calm her nervous system. It wasn't easy at first. Her body was used to restless nights, but within a few months her sleep transformed. And so did she. At a recent checkup, her doctor ran cognitive tests and was stunned by her results. Her brain function was on par with people in their 50s. When he asked her secret, Linda smiled and said, "I started treating my sleep like an investment, and now I'm living off the returns." If you can still sleep soundly through the night without frequent interruptions, it's one of the strongest signs that your body and brain are aging well. It means your hormones are balanced, your nervous system is regulated, and your brain is doing its nightly repair work without interference. But if you find yourself waking up multiple times a night, it might be a sign that your sleep hygiene needs some adjustments. The good news? It's never too late to fix it. Because the next ability on this list is the ultimate sign of a strong, resilient body, and it could be the simplest predictor of whether you'll make it to 100. Number 1, you have a strong social circle. At number 1, we have something surprising. Your relationships might be the single most powerful factor in determining how long you live. It's not just about diet, exercise, or even genetics. It turns out that who you surround yourself with and how deeply connected you are to others could be the key to reaching 100. This isn't just feel-good advice, it's backed by science. The Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest-running studies on aging, has tracked participants for over 85 years, trying to uncover what truly determines a long, fulfilling life. The results? Having strong social connections was the biggest predictor of longevity. People who are socially active, who maintain close friendships, and who engage in community activities don't just live longer, they live better. They have lower stress levels, better mental and physical health, and a stronger sense of purpose. And the opposite is also true. Loneliness can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, increasing the risk of heart disease, stroke, and cognitive decline. Let's take Ernest and Martha Davis, a couple from Montana who have defied the odds. They're both in their late 90s and still going strong. And if you ask them their secret, they won't talk about diet, exercise, or genetics. They'll talk about Sunday dinners. For over 50 years, every single Sunday, without fail, they've hosted dinner with their closest friends. Even as they've aged, they've never missed a week. When asked how they've made it this far, Ernest once said, "People think it's food that keeps you alive, but I say it's laughter." They're proof that staying socially connected doesn't just make life more enjoyable, it literally helps you live longer. If you have friends, family, or even a small group of people you interact with regularly, cherish those bonds. They might just be your secret to hitting 100. So how did you do? If you're between 60 and 80 and can still do these things, you're not just in good shape, you're part of a rare and extraordinary group. Science says you might just be on the path to 100, but more importantly, you're on the path to living a full, vibrant, and independent life. And if some of these were a challenge, that's not a reason to feel discouraged. It's an invitation to make small but powerful changes, to train your heart, strengthen your body, sharpen your mind, and build deeper connections. Because here's the truth. Longevity isn't just about counting the years, it's about making the years count. You have more control over your future than you think. A stronger heart, a sharper mind, better mobility, restful sleep, and meaningful relationships. These aren't just signs of a long life. They are the building blocks of a life well lived. So take a moment to reflect. Which of these resonated with you the most? Which one will you start working on today? Let me know in the comments. And if this video added value to your day, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because the journey to 100 isn't just about you, it's about inspiring others to live better, longer, and healthier. Here's to many more years filled with strength, joy, and purpose.